Bola Tinubu acknowledged the poverty and suffering in Nigeria, urging citizens to embrace a new value system and avoid acts of economic sabotage like vandalism and theft. Speaking in Lagos during the El Kabir celebration with the National Assembly delegations, Tinubu emphasized the need for good economic policies despite hardships and affirmed its commitment to Nigeria. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the Labour Party criticized Tinubu's remarks, accusing him of making excuses and worsening poverty. They emphasized that Tinubu's administration should focus on reducing poverty and not exacerbating it. The Labour parties condemned the administration's spending on luxuries amidst widespread suffering, while Atiku criticized the government's handling of economic policies and lack of transparency. Tinubu also calls for the change in the rent-seeking mindset and highlights the importance of good infrastructure and security for economic progress. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio expressed support for Tinubu's leadership and mentioned upcoming legislative efforts to improve the business environment. Mr. Wells, President Bola Tinubu said Nigerians are not alone in this economic crisis, in this suffering. I'm meant to ask, how are they part of us? Is it that they actually know what is going on?
Well, the narrative around that report is that the economic crunch is a global phenomenon, and it is not peculiar with Nigeria. I think that's the point to which the president is trying to place his analogy, and that implying that the solution has to be that some government policies that could seems to be very insensitive by the all well-meaning persons of goodwill would not want to, support the position of governance or government with regards to some of the policy rolled out to take us to the glory days, because temporarily it may breed some level of discomfort, which of course you and I can attest to, and that the degree of this dysfunction, the discomfort is intense, it is intensified daily, and it appears that would there be any light at the end of the tunnel. So, but there again, the concluding part, which of course the president make emphasis on, is that we cannot, but we can just, we should stop, our disease from lying to ourselves, that if we desired a prosperous nation, a better working environment for all, and of course security for lives and property, then there are some fundamentals that we must embrace, which of course will come along with certain pain. But there again, you want to look at, we'll be enduring this pain even right from the last regime, because some of the president's spokesperson will tell you that the current challenge in Nigeria reality is not caused by this administration, that it was as a result of government failing in its responsibility and duty over the years, and then it has now snowballed into a very chunk problem that technically or as a way is overwhelming the present government of the day. My concern is that whether it is an Atiku that is there or an Obi that is there, what we are experiencing now, we will still experience, maybe not as the degree as to what we are seeing, because I also want to believe that as soon as you are seeing some person crying, woe, some persons are also, having a respite, considering how some of this policy of government, has also affected them positively, whether in the long run or the short run. So if it is Obi that is there or Atiku that is there, I for one, am not of the opinion that things would have been better off. But the point is just that government must come to the realization that whatever policy they are putting in place, the overall impact will tell on the citizenry. Well, and the citizenry, in its own part, owe it a duty to hold government accountable. Because after going through all of this, another season of election will come, and then the same person complaining hardship and all pain will still say, oh yeah, will you allow them? No, etc., etc. And then you see that the government will make a return and do it second time. So it's really unfortunate, and the position to this opposition, of course, you commend them because they are playing their role as an opposition, even if the policy in the long run will yield results. At least let it be on record that it was criticized and all that and all that.
But if you look at what Peter Obi said, let's look at that, telling the president not to look at the luxury part of life, but rather they should look into economy. You are aware that because of the insecurity in the country, not just in Nigeria though, the president, they thought of getting a private jet in course of their traveling to avoid the unforeseen circumstances. So don't you think that that is one thing that they are equally talking about, because we just want to drive on the road and be comfortable. We want to enter the public planes and be comfortable. But they are talking about private jets in the midst of this economic crisis. And they are saying it's not just Nigerians. According to you, that it's not just Nigerians that are suffering, other people are. Are we supposed to be leveraging? Are we supposed to be learning from the poor state of other countries? Or are we supposed to learn from the developed countries? Why can't we compare ourselves to the developed countries? Why are we looking at, because things are happening, okay, we are not alone. So because others are into this with us, we should continue to remain like this.
Okay, so if you look at the position of things and happenings in Nigeria, you want to buy the narrative that you are painting, and it's within your right to do that, because we need to check whether we are making progress or we are just moving, having a mindset that we are making progress. And by the time you do a recap of your activities over a period of time, you will see that whether you have been lying to yourself or whether you have actually been giving the deliverables that will bring about accolades and their appreciation. Now, the angle that I want to buttress more is that the president cannot just wake up and make allocation for himself with what is on table on demand. It still has to go through the National Assembly. So if the National Assembly oblige or approve, the composition of the National Assembly is the representation of the people. And if the representation of the people, particularly at the constituency level, have consented to the request of the president, as it were, then you will begin to imagine that where exactly is this cry coming from? Because the National Assembly has the power to decline on any perceived insensitivity of the actions of governance or government in relation with the interest of the people. So, and the people itself holds it a duty to tell their representative that, look, this is what we want. And that's one reason why we send you there. That's all the narrative I'm painting is in an environment where the system is allowed to run.
But Mr. Wells...
But in this space...
But this is what we are saying. Now, when we're talking about... Remember that the issue of minimum wage is still one side, which has not yet been concluded. And now, the president is not pressing on that. The issue of insecurity is one side. They're not pressing on that. But we are talking about the minimum wage first to start with. And instead of that, they were able to press for the private jets. Are you understanding? It is a different thing if the governor or the president has gone to press on this, that this is what I want. Okay, let it be that the House of Assembly accepts or not. But rather, instead of talking about the minimum wage, how is it going? Because this is where Nigerians can actually start with. But instead, it was a private jet. So don't you think that the president is not with us? We are not talking about other countries, it's Nigerians. So if he's saying that you are not alone in this, approximately, I suppose he's saying that I am into this too, but it's not there.
The point, the reality is that what informs the request for the private jet? 2 weeks ago, there were some incidences that happened that involves the president coming into the country and it was not announced.
Okay.
Are you aware that the presidential fleet, particularly the 2 planes that service the president and the vice president, were not in good shape? And then we are talking about one of the most revered office in the land.
So they really need to go outside. What are they doing outside country? They're saying that Nigerians, we need to put heads together and hands together to make sure that we work out our salvation. Then they're saying that foreign aids is not going to help our situation. So what are they traveling up and down for?
So the point is that the question you want to major on will be, are some of these trips necessary? Yes, there are. There are, pre-planned trips that we further enhance, considering the fact that this is their first year in office and they have to, put up a platform where they can actually synergize with counterparts and friends of the nation who probably will also help roll out policies that will help enhance Nigeria. I think in one of the reports we have that the World Bank intend to help Nigeria, I think it was about $15 billion in relation with agro development projects and some other projects that will help cushion down the effect of the current hardship that is, bedeviling the nation. You see some of these collaborations or some of these engagements and promises actualization cannot just come on something to which you probably want to do on the phone. There are other interests that you need to be on ground. There are some of our persons, experts who are also on ground, who probably will also be on ground to help you navigate some of this, engagement. And also, you also have world leaders meetings, whether within the region, in Africa or outside Africa. There are some treaties to which Nigeria is a signatory to which we also need to be on ground. If the president cannot go, he can deputize his vice president. The vice president can also go. Well, imagine that there were rumors that the president came the last trip he went. He came. And he came in the night and unannounced because unlike before, when the planes were in good shape, you see the service chiefs and some top government functionaries will see him off. And of course, when he's coming back, the same scenario. But 2 trips traveled and he came, we heard that it was whether it was in Dubai. Then from Dubai, we heard that it's also he went to UK. From UK, he went to France. And then the question is, where is the presidential fleet? Why is the information, considering the fact that we owe it a duty to have access to some of this information, but some of these things were shied away from the public. Now the question is, what is going on? Why is the #1 person in the country travel and came and there was no ceremony as it were? Yes, some person might want to say he's trying to cut costs or he's trying to, slim down exigency. But there again, if there are information or certain eventuality that has taken place, the public who have the right to know because it is a public place. And of course, it's living a public life because some of all these trips are not trips that he runs with his private funds. There are trades that has been budgeted for, allocations have been, it has been appropriated for. And of course, he owes a duty to deliver on his stewardship and open a kind of a platform of transparency so that even if the opposition wants to talk, everybody will know that, look, this one is overshooting his boundary. But that again is within our right to actually
just go on.